I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, in the heart of Rondo community. My family were artistic people. There were actors, singers, musicians, instrumental musicians, and my father just had an overall love for music. So there was always music around the late 80s and the early 90s. It was just a different time. And so I was allowed to explore myself and explore my world. I don't even think of times as a young person where I didn't want to be a musician and I didn't want to sing.
She was coming down to the jazz club and she was 7.
Like at 16, her voice was phenomenal at 16.
We had a great mother, rest her soul, and she taught us the importance of our own individuality. PaviElle is not afraid to speak her truth. She's not afraid to speak out against injustices. She is the most courageous individual that I know.
It was the coldest May ever last year. I never cried so many tears brought to my lowest self.
It was May 2020. George Floyd was murdered. And that same week, my ex-partner and I broke up. So I think that week alone, I had so much inner turmoil that I really just kind of went numb. And I don't do that. I'm a feeler. And I will sit in whatever it is and deal and process, but I couldn't do that. I wasn't, I just didn't feel like I had a hold of myself, or I had turned into somebody that I didn't know who I was anymore. It was that kind of feeling where I was just like, who are you? And after that week and being up all week long, I remember that it was terrible because we had gotten tipped off that there were some white supremacists that were staying down in the hotel down the way. I just remember that week as being so tumultuous, and I had said to my cousin, like, if there was ever a time where I felt like I was living, in the post-antebellum South, or if there's any time that if I always imagined what it was to live like in the civil rights time, I knew that week, because I felt like we had seen a public lynching. I just felt broke all the way down. And then on top of that, I didn't have my ex-partner at that point anymore to lean on for moral support. What I had and what I was used to was gone, and everything was gone. So then I started seeing a therapist. Then I began seeing Sharon Bridgeforth and Omi Oshun Jody Jones, and I went to go get healed. Like Omi Oshun says, to step into my priesthood. And so, to have somebody tell you that you're stepping into your priesthood, it kind of puts all the turmoil and all the things going in through, my head into perspective, because it's like, oh, that's supposed to happen. You're supposed to come through the fire in order to, be the phoenix that you are and continue to rise. And like, okay, now that makes sense. So now I know why I'm going through all this. So let's really go through it. Now let's really sit in it. So I spent the entire year really, taking sabbaticals and really taking the time to be with me. My work, they allowed me the ability to work from home or work remotely. So, I had won the McKnight Artist Fellowship. So that's when, I think in August at that point, 2020, I had bought a machine with these funds, that machine, MK3, the pretty colorful thing back there. And never knew how to use it, didn't know what to do with it. And my brother had got a small one, and we sat on the phone and figured out how to make beats on this thing. So then that next month, it was Breonna Taylor's The Case against her murderers. And it was the wanton reckless endangerment, and nobody else got charged. So I was sitting right here in the living room, and I decided to use a beat that I had came up with just messing around. And it was this ominous, dark beat. And it was, it's dreary. It's like underground and hardcore. And I just put this thing on, and in real time, I watched the protests begin. And as I'm on Facebook watching this protest begin, I'm starting to see all these terrible, horrible anti-Black comments just rolling in. So then I just was like, okay, I'm going to use America as the muse. I am going to take this and I am going to let it fuel me to write whatever I'm getting ready to write. And so I just started writing, and I put the song on while I'm watching, let it play for 4 bars. I would think for 4 bars, write it down, record it, stop, do the same thing again, do 4 more bars all the way through this song. And just watching this whole time. And that became the song Garveyite. And, it's like me talking about not feeling safe in my home country.
Is it the only pathway to freedom is to fight and give up my life? Don't want to live with white supremacy, and for it I'm not gonna die at the hands of systemic oppression. 400 years of psychosis. I know this, I'm tired, and now I'm second guessing what I was taught to believe. Done everything from begging and pleading to burning.
There was just a lot of things that I wanted to push up against. And people would specifically know what I'm talking about. But then on the other hand, it was like, this is risky, and are you sure? And also, are you going to be able to come up with an album with more content? Because I'm really not writing right now. So I just let it sit. Then in December, I went out to Arizona, and I found out I was a Jerome Artist Fellow. And right then and there, it was like, there you go. And now I have to come up with an album. Now I have to really, really, really do this. You know what I mean? Like you can't sit on this. You have something that is so amazing. Now you got to do this. And so I just went there. And then just continued to work on it all the way up until the recording. And then I planned all the recordings and all of the rehearsals. And I just did stuff that I never even knew that I knew how to do. Like, it's absolutely telling me, like, here you go. Like, I'm not going to let you just sit on this stuff. Sometimes I'll hear, like a little phrase over and over. And sometimes I'll hear it for weeks and I won't sit down and I'll just leave it alone, but it'll keep coming back. That's how I know it's, supposed to be. It's like, hey, write me down and don't forget me. So like in Rights, when I did Rights, I had no melody. And I don't really think I had any words to that, but I kept hearing that da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 da, and I couldn't hear anything else. So I just created a song around that phrase, and then wrote Rights after it was all created.
Listen to the words I say. You have no ownership of me. You cannot give me my rights.
So I'll create all this music and stuff and then just hand it off to people and be like, interpret it, bring it out to the best that you can make it sound closest to my music and put your funk on it, and play it that way, but otherwise not. I write all this stuff, being here in the quiet and being in the zone, because I really like that. I think it's really awesome to be able to work with people who have your back so that you can be the artist. And when it's time to put down the leader hat, the band leader hat, you could put on the artist hat and know that the band behind you is going to hold you up and you don't have to worry. It's everything to me to know that I can turn off and I can go wherever it is that I go, because I do. Like, I always tell people I click off, but it really does happen. After a while singing, I just kind of go into a different space and time.
So like, yeah, no, like however you look at the verse, no matter what I'm saying or whatever the verse is, you always know that at the end of the verse, you're going to prep so that you can hit the other side of the beat. Yeah. Right? Going into the hook. And that's for all the verses of this song.
Or if I miss a cue or if I miss, stopping the song, they just kind of know when to do it. And, we're all working together in tandem, but I can just be free. And I love working with them because of that. That's why I've been working with them guys forever. Because, my brother's my brother, of course, and then Sai's my cousin. And Nick and I have been playing, I think, together since I was 18 or 19. And then, James is amazing. And I think he's been with us for the last 3-4 years, something like that. And, Ted is he's bomb. He hears the same stuff that I hear. Like when I play stuff and I talk to him and stuff, he picks it up immediately and knows what I want. So it's knowing people and knowing people through time, building that relationship and stuff. It just really makes for some really fly gigs because it's like we're family. And once you're sitting up there playing with your family, you don't need to pay attention to nobody like that. You know what I mean? I don't have to be up there going, I'm finding you because you done played this song wrong or, whatever. It's just, I don't have to be like that. I can be pretty free as a leader of the band and all that. And that's just a nice feeling. And also it's really good to be up there with my brother. I think that's one of the coolest things too, is that he's the first person I did music with, And so he knows me, and there's something about making music and having a musical family like that. Charlie Bruber, he's like a friend of mine from way back, and we played together with Secret Stash, Sunny Night and all that. So I got great memories with Charlie, and he's always been just such a wonderful dude. So it was my pleasure to bring work to his studio.
Okay, now the beginning.
Dee Ogar and Eddie Chiletti did the recording. I just really, really loved how I got to work with a Black woman to do the recording for my album. That was the first time I've ever met a Black sound woman before, and just how awesome that was to be able to just talk to her, and it was just with ease. We just hit it off, and it was amazing. So that was a highlight for me at Studio 8BB. It was all friends and people that I admire and folks that I've done work with, and so that's just how that stuff started happening. Being able to demo out the music and make it so fast because Charlie was already like, yeah, come on down, because he was encouraging me of it too. He really believes in this music 100%. And then Jason McGlone from the Hideaway Studios mixed the project. And then Rob Schletty from Anthem Mastering did the mastering. And then Desdemona actually did the album art. And, Desdemona, she's a poet and spoken word artist, musician here. So it means something to me that all of the people that had something to do with it dig it, sincerely.
I mean, she said everything that I felt from 2020 with everything that happened and all of that emotion that was built up. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm just trying to do it justice. I want to make it, it's obviously important. I agree with everything that's being said. And I just want to make sure that I can help convey the message.
If you know Pavi, if you don't know Pavi, all you got to do is listen to that record. And then you'll understand who Pavi is. She puts it all out there.
This woman has the powerhouse voice, then has the message to back that up with these great musicians, and it would be easy for her to just do another Fear Not part 2, but she stepped inside of herself, and she brought that out, and she was like, here it is. What you gonna do with it?
And I think what the content of this new album that is coming out, the world needs to hear just enough so that they can breathe a breath of honest air.
How y'all doing Thank you so much for being a part of this coming out for me. Stepping into my own self further, exploring my understanding, my inner work, life after grief, racial upheaval, liberation, and sovereignty. All right, y'all, let's do it. I can't be what you want me to be at all. And I've got to be free, and I'm not waiting on none of y'all. Hey!
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that, wow, I fully executed something that was inside of my head and my heart. And I did it. And that means a lot to me because I've always had follow through and I've always had discipline. But this was something that I was doing and heading up by myself and been able to articulate it to the musicians. Just everything. That I set my mind to something and it worked. And it happened, and it wasn't the most beautiful thing for me is that it was a pleasure project and I was just able to really be me and really be honest. And this was just a blessing that I was able to voice my opinions and how I was feeling in a way that will last a lifetime and that leveled me up to the next echelon and the next level of my life. I was able to step into my womanhood fully by actualizing all elements of this album from start to finish. The feedback has been spiritual. It's different than my first album where people loved the album. It was nice grooves, This album, it was very interesting to me to go and see on people's pages if they were talking about it, or to go on Bandcamp and see what people have said. And it's always about these cathartic inner truths that we need to stand on. And I need this album to be able to get in the hands of the youth and young adults so that when they're making these changes and when they're organizing, that they can have a basis and that they can have an understanding to push to other people who may not be about reading books or who may not, be about, researching. This album is a tool, because you don't have to listen exactly to what I say or take that as, face value and take that as the law. It's just the audacity. It's the inspiration of the audacity to have your own thoughts and be like, nah. And I'm not afraid of the cancel cult. And I'm not afraid of having my feelings as an adult, because these are my perspectives and this is what it is. And I'm here to learn, but I also know what I stand on, and that can't be manipulated. There's just some truths that are universal that cannot be manipulated for me. And that's how we hold on to our values, and that's how we build. That's how we get together and change systems. That's how we become catalysts and conduits. But we gotta stand in our own truth first. And I hope that album inspires people to connect with self and disconnect from the systems.
I'm working on my liberation. There's no more time to wait. I find they walked out of the house of illusion, headed towards the gate. I am sorry. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me in this moment. Thank you.
That's a wrap. Can I hear it?